Welcome and thank you for being with us tonight. I am Michelle Fernandez of the League of Women Voters in San Jose and Santa Clara. The forum this evening is being presented in conjunction with the San Jose District 7 Leadership Group. We have translators available in Spanish and the Vietnamese language. Please click the interpretation icon at the bottom of your screen in order to access the Spanish and Vietnamese translation. The League of Women Voters is a trusted membership organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. We do not endorse or oppose candidates or political parties. The League participates in issue advocacy and voter education. The advocacy arm of the League may take positions on issues such as ballot measures. The forum is presented by the education arm of the League, which does not take positions or advocate for them. I would like to introduce our moderator for this forum, Tracy Williams, a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority.
Good evening. This forum is for the Franklin McKinley School Board. I'd like to remind everyone that the candidates have all agreed to participate under guidelines set forth for this forum. Please be aware that campaign literature or other forms of campaigning, such as buttons, t-shirts, and signs, are not permitted. We are videotaping tonight's forum, and the session will be available through our website and on social media for the broader community to access. You can find these links on the website. There are 6 candidates running for this position, and 5 will be participating in the forum tonight. George Sanchez, Josue Gonzalez, H.G. Nguyen, Ha Hoang, and Milan Balinton. Candidate Joshua Harrington is unable to be with us tonight due to a family emergency. So let's go over a few of the ground rules. And candidates, you may join me in the forum. Each candidate has 1 minute for opening remarks. Closing statements will be 90 seconds. The timekeeper, Sandy Morey, will signal candidates with color signs marked 30 seconds and stop. The questions have been screened to avoid duplication and anything inappropriate. The order of answering the questions will alternate, and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. Please note, all questions that were received may not be asked, and some have been combined because they were similar. Following the questions, each candidate will have 90 seconds for a closing statement in the reverse order from the opening statements. Now, let's begin with our first candidate. Candidate H.G. Nguyen, you may begin with your opening statement.
Thank you so much. Good evening. I'm very honored to be here with you to discuss my candidacy for the Franklin McKinley School Board. My name is H.G. Hanh Giao Nguyen, and I've been proud to call San Jose my home for decades. You see, after coming to the United States as a refugee, I served my new home as a French teacher, a radio host, a business leader, and a community organizer, making sure the Vietnamese community has a seat at a table in our San Jose city. As a political refugee, a working mother, a wife, I understand challenges families face, especially whom English is not their first language.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gonzalez, your opening statement, please.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Josue David Gonzalez, and I am running for Franklin McKinley School Board. I am running because I believe it's time for change. In the past decade, we've seen a trend of downward education levels. And we've also seen a rising of distrust and mistrust on the parents' side of things. And we would like to change that. We are parents, myself and Joshua Harrington, which obviously is not here. His mother-in-law passed away just this week. And so he's going through a hard time. What we want to do is to make sure that parents have a seat at the table, because oftentimes it's always politicians and other people that do not represent the best values of parents that get to sit there. And I believe now it's time for a change. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Sanchez, your opening statement, please.
Well, good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you very much to the League of Women Voters and also the District 7 Leadership Group for hosting this forum tonight. I'm George Sanchez. I've been a longtime member of the Franklin McKinley School Board, and I've worked with 4 superintendents during my tenure. I've had 4 children in the district, so I have been a parent, and now I'm a grandparent, and I have a child attending TK in the Franklin McKinley School District. So education is very important to me. I come from a world of education. I was a teacher and also administrator for the Eastside Union High School District for many, many years. And I still do substitute service. Today I substituted in a elementary school, so that was a little bit different. But I'm still very much involved in education. I have a deep passion for what we do in the world of education, and I feel that we have done some great things during my tenure there. And I have been board president 5 times during my tenure. Also have been a member of many of the committees that we have set up, and I feel I have the experience to go ahead and continue leading our district. We have very challenging times before us. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Sanchez. Candidate Hoang, your opening remarks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ha Hoang, and I'm running for Franklin McKinley School District Governing Board because I believe in the power of education and its ability to transform lives. As a teacher for over a decade, I've seen firsthand challenges and opportunities that our students face. I'm running to ensure that every child in our district receives a holistic education that not only focuses on academic success, but also includes arts, life skills, and career pathways. From the conversations I've had with members of our community, I believe that our community deserves safe, sustainable communities where families and educators can thrive. And that begins with strong schools, affordable housing, and open communication. I want to ensure that our students are equipped with for success in life, not just in the classroom, but whatever they want to do afterwards. And I'm committed to working collaboratively with all the stakeholders to make that happen.
Thank you. Candidate Balinton, your opening remarks, please.
My name is Milan Balinton, and I have been in the nonprofit industry for well over 20 years. Like many folks, politics is not my thing, but politics is my thing. And when we talk about politics, I'm specifically speaking to, number one, my platform is kids first, because in any decision that needs to be made by any board is to make sure that the children are first. Good governance. It is not our job to run the district, but have team members and employees that are hired to do those jobs. And mental health and safety. Currently, Franklin McKinley School District is working on various very, very, very difficult discussions regarding what's going on within the schools. And so it's going to take some experience with Mr. George Sanchez and myself, which I just got on the board in 22, to take on what is happening in our district.
Thank you. Now we'll start with our questions. So you guys shared a little bit of why you're running. So if you're elected, what will be your priorities? And we will start with candidate Hoang. You come off mute.
Sorry. Hello.
Uh-huh.
My top priorities are centered around creating an environment where every student has the opportunity to succeed, teachers and educators feel supported, and a place where families can thrive. First, I'm focused on a holistic education, one that not only promotes academic achievement, but also includes arts, life skills, and career pathways. Our students need to be prepared for not just the classroom, but for life. And that means offering a well-rounded education that fosters critical thinking, creativity, and civic engagement. Second, I'm committed to building sustainable communities. This includes addressing the ongoing challenges of an unaffordable housing and displacement that affects our communities, both our students and our teachers. I'll advocate for policies that promote affordable housing and reduce environmental damaging commutes and other things like that. And lastly, communication and safety are key priorities. I currently teach at Eastside Union High School District, and
Go ahead, finish your statement. Go ahead,
okay.
finish your sentence.
And I want to strengthen communication between all major stakeholders, K through 12.
And so you will see the stop sign, and that is to wrap up, but you can finish your thought in your sentence. I won't cut you totally off for that. So feel free to finish your thought. Candidate Balinton, what would be your priorities?
Well, my priorities is what's happening in reality. Currently, everyone has probably heard about school districts closing or merging. So that takes experience to talk about budget. With the state of California and the low enrollment, we are battling right now trying to ensure that everyone knows really what happens in FMSD. When we look at diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging, which is the committee that I serve on, brings all stakeholders to the table, from the community to the parents to the students' voices, to make sure that everyone is heard when we're talking about curriculum. We are talking about school safety. We're talking about our educators getting what they need. In addition to that is also looking at and making sure after school programs are available, which is what parents have always let us know that we want more of. But with having more after school programs, you need more money. And a nonprofit, I know a thing about raising money and looking for more dollars any and everywhere to support our schools. So those would be some of my top priorities, even though my platform is based on kids first, good governance, and mental health and safety.
Thank you. Candidate Gonzalez, same question for you.
My main focus, and well, myself and Harrington, because we're running together, our main focus is bringing back hands-on education. We're looking to actually make sure that our kids are getting hands-on education and they're actually elevating their knowledge level. A lot of the resources that are in danger right now, as Mr. Balinton mentioned, we believe that can actually be reallocated in a more positive manner, that actually put focus more into the school and the teachers and the resources they need. But also our main focus is to invite parents into the process. Oftentimes we see a political approach and we see a lot of, nice words and platitudes and things like that sound great, but in practice haven't been working, especially for the past 10 years. And we want to make sure to correct that course by allowing parents to have a decision of voice and also engage in the community that we're actually representing as Franklin McKinley School District.
Thank you. And then we will have candidate Sanchez.
Thank you. Well, first and foremost, student achievement is paramount. And because I come from the world of high school education, I have a good idea in terms of what's needed for the student to be successful when they graduate from our schools in the 8th grade and move on to high school. And that's what we have to work on, to make sure that we do everything possible so that when our kids leave us, they are not at-risk kids, but ready for the high school curriculum. One of the challenges we have is we have a lot of newcomer students. This year we have, just talking to the superintendent a short time ago, we have 300 newcomer students, and these are students who don't know any English or very little English, and so we have to go ahead and work with those kids as fast as possible to make them fluent English speakers, because if they're not, then they are not going to be possibly successful in high school. So we want to make sure that we do our job here at the high school level. And along with that, of course, we need parent involvement, because we need our parents involved in terms of making sure that their children do their work and that they themselves are educated. So we even have classes for parents in our district. So that's critical that we continue doing those things, So, and again, working with our staffs, our certificated and classified unions who have supported myself and Milan in this race. So that's how they view us, as the best candidates for the kids and for themselves too, for the employees.
Thank you, candidate Sanchez. And last on this question, candidate Nguyen.
Thank you very much for the question. My top priority is improving the test scores. I'm also dedicated to providing childcare for our teachers, our staff in our district. It's a way to not only provide much needed relief for the educators and the staff that make our district run, but that added stability will help us retain the dedicated teachers and staff that will make the largest difference. Beyond that, I am committed to finding opportunities for cooperation with the city, the county, and other government entities to expand childcare opportunities for all families in our district. And beyond that, I would like to provide also affordable, I would like to advocate for affordable housing for our teachers, for the staff, for the parents. That's how we can help our students continue to go to school and feel safe and have a good start in elementary to high school and beyond that. So that's my priorities for running. Yes.
Thank you for your response. Thank you. Our next question is, what issues do you believe your district needs to address in its academic program and offerings? And what changes would you recommend? And we're going to start this round of questions with candidate Gonzalez.
Thank you very much. Well, I believe that overall, our test scores do need to go up because we're at the very low bottom. But on top of that, we're offering a lot of after-school programs that are not going to help the kids that don't partake into that. I believe that everybody inside the schools at the school hours should have the top education that they should receive in those times and in those hours. Oftentimes we stress our kids out with more and more homework and more work. We're going after school programs and then we're going home and doing homework on top of that. There are things that we have to be able to do to relieve the stress of the student while they're actually in the school learning. So it's on us to actually be responsible for the actual quality of work, not after school programs, to make up for the lack of responsibility within the school time hours. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Nguyen, same question. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I would like to make sure that all students from all ethnic communities in our district receive immersion programs so that they can adjust to the new environment and learn English and be able to speak and learn English better in later on in higher levels. And also, I would like to see if we can improve or we can install the tutoring programs for our students so that they can improve their academic level at school. And I also would like to see how our district communicate with the parents, because it's so important that the parents have to get involved with whatever the schools are doing. And unfortunately, when I attended some of the workshops, I didn't see that happen. I didn't see the parents participated. So I want to improve that. And before I can say what I will do and what we can do, I need to reassess our policies, how we communicate with our parents. And then also, I'm sorry.
And I didn't want to cut you off, but I'm going to let you go over a little bit. So 1 minute for each response, but I do want you to be able to complete your thought. So thank you for that. Candidate Hoang, your response to this.
Yes, I believe that our district faces academic challenges that relate specifically to the opportunity gap that impacts our students. And to address this, I think we need to focus on providing an equitable access to resources like tutoring, mental health support, and after-school programs. Being in the classroom, boots on the ground, this is what I'm seeing a lot with all of our students. I also think that we must ensure that all students have access to a well-rounded education. I've mentioned that, not just in the core subjects, but also in the arts, technology, being in Silicon Valley, and life skills that help prepare them for the future. And I think to make these changes, it's really important we listen to our students, families, and educators to understand the challenges that they face every day. By engaging in the community, we can ensure that solutions are responsive and effective to what they actually are experiencing. And I think we need to invest in professional development that are applicable right away. Sometimes professional development can be like long-term, but if just the things that we can do right away, and strengthen community partnerships to provide additional resources. We have amazing community-based organizations. But yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much. Candidate Balinton.
Thank you for the question. Don't take my words for it, but everybody, if you want to look it up, FMSD basically had a 2-year gap during the pandemic. And during that 2-year gap, the school did not have a lot of data that normally is provided in the state of California when it comes to our schools. So when I joined the board, I learned this and what our educators and all of the administrators were doing to try to make sure that all of our students that first year back out of the pandemic through testing, as well as providing them with access for math, science, writing, and all the things that students need. There also was information leaked to the community that was incorrect in regards to spending over $200,000 for Nintendo Switches. Actually, if you read the agenda item, it was specifically us providing and looking at how technology and students and games are connected. The actual program was to inspire them by using a tool that students are using in this generation to educate them in easier ways. So looking at technology from an AI standpoint in education, as well as increasing funding for math, science, and all the things that FMSD consistently does. So I want to make sure that that is part of that focus as we continue to move forward.
Thank you. And finally, candidate Sanchez.
Well, one of the areas that we have to take a look at is in terms of reading. Reading is critical in terms of being successful for all of our kids. And one area that we've taken a look at is our third graders, because every study shows that if a third grader is not at grade level, by the time they finish, now they're at risk. And so with that in mind, we've gone out and looked for outside sources so they can give us the finances to be able to get programs in place. And just recently, about a week ago, we had the Teach for America come forward with a grant. And the grant, we got $80,000 from the county of Santa Clara and another $80,000 from the city of San Jose. And those were for 2 of our schools, Hellier and Kennedy. And that was to help our children, our third graders, be at grade level. And again, that's something that we need to do across the district, because again, it's critical that we have our kids reading well and at that level as they move forward through the different the upper grades. And so that's something we continue to look forward to, is getting outside monies to support us in that area.
Thank you so much for your response. Our next question is about managing differences in opinion. So what is the best way to address differences of opinion on the board or between the board and the administration? And we'll start this round with candidate Sanchez.
Okay, I've had a little bit of experience in that area, having been a board president 5 times. And I think as board president, what I try to do is make sure that every opinion is valued, that we allow our differences of opinion. I mean, we're going to have differences of opinion, but we have to get along as a board. We have to articulate our views and get along with each other. And that's what a democracy is about. And we have 5 members on the board. So each member has been elected by the community. And so the way I look at it is that we have to give them respect due because they are elected by the community. And so with that in mind, I try to be as open as I can and try to allow for discussion and try to make sure that everyone's opinion, is valued and heard, and if you take a look at my tapes, you'll see I'm not cutting people off, I mean, they may go a little bit too long sometimes, so I may have to tell them that, hey, we have to, bring it to a close, but that's critical.
Thank you, candidate Sanchez. Candidate Balinton.
Number one is learning and knowing Robert Rules of Order. Robert Rules of Order is designed for us to have governance in meetings to hear each other out. Number two is ask for clarification. Generally, like to understand. Different perspectives at the table may rub us the wrong way if we're talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, because in today's world, some people would say everything is perfect. We do not need to celebrate women's history. We do not need to celebrate Black history, which has been brought forward in our boardroom multiple times. And while we're listening to those who have brought this forward, whether that be on the board or the public, our role as board members is to listen and ask clarifying questions. And so that's what we have practiced so far on this board, since I've only been on for about 2 years, in making sure that you listen intently, asking clarifying questions. And when things are presented, asking for the facts and conducting research and being prepared prior to the conversation oftentimes will help make a board meeting or a discussion work really, really well.
Thank you. Candidate Gonzalez.
How do we handle differences of opinions? The question was addressed towards the administration or in the board members, but I would say all across the board, I mean, even including with parents that are participating on the board, we have to have a sense of decorum and a sense of respect towards each other. We understand that tensions can rise. We understand that people have different characters, and we as board members have to have the quality of patience and understanding towards the issues that may be affecting other people in a way that we do not use the board to bully. We do not use the board or the administration to bring forth accusations towards those that are participating, whether it be administration or whether it be especially parents who have concerns that are not being heard or met. I believe that respect is something that you earn, but also should be given unless you see that that person doesn't want to do that. And at the end of the day, the board members have to have a higher sense of decorum and a higher sense of dignity and compassion towards the people who are participating in the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Nguyen. You're on mute. Come on, Miss.
Thank you very much for the question. You see, I am the Public Affairs Director of the City of San Jose District 5. The board and the staff, we have issues or differences every single day, every hour that we have to resolve and make sure that we agree to move forward with a sound solution per se. Sometimes as the board, you can win, and sometimes you lose. That's the reality. And the main thing is that if we all put our students first, then whatever the solutions or whatever the differences that we may have, we can always look at the guiding light and resolve. And we all human beings, we all have disagreements, but at the end of the day, whatever is best for the students, I will work very hard with my colleagues, with the superintendent, with the faculty staff, with the parents, including the students. They have a say too because they live in that school.
Thank you.
Know, longer hours at the Board of Trustees.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, candidate. Hopefully you could see the timer in the screen, but thank you for your response. Candidate Hong.
Thank you for the question. I think the best way to manage differences in opinion is through open communication, active listening, and a focus on shared goals. It's important to acknowledge that disagreements are natural and like a lot of the other candidates said, and can lead to better decision-making when handled respectfully. We all have different perspectives, and when we come together, we can come up with a solution. On the board, we should foster an environment where every member perspective is valued. Discussions are centered on what's best for our students and community. That means listening carefully, asking clarifying questions, and seeking common ground. Between the board and the administration, it's crucial to build a strong partnership based on mutual respect. While they have different roles, there's the same objective, supporting for student success. So clear, transparent communication channels, collaborative discussions, addressing challenges constructively, and being a math person, I think data-driven solutions are always great. and keeping the well-being of students at the forefront will guide us on our differences.
Thank you for your response. Our next question. What is the role of schools in teaching children about topics such as sex education, cyber safety, mental health, wellness, and bullying? And we'll start this round with candidate Balinton.
Thank you for the question. It is very important that we prepare our educators when they are in the classroom, because for over 8 hours a day for many, they're experiencing the questions, the inquiring minds of young geniuses, including in FMSD. And so when it does come to policies that provide parents with acknowledgement on what their children are learning or asking, there also is a protective factor there for educators, and specifically when we talk about AB Bill 1955, which does talk about providing resources and education for students and making sure that all students feel included within the classroom and safety. So it is very important to make sure that we have these resources available to our educators, that when students are in those classrooms, they know that their teachers and their educators and their paraeducators and special educators are all well trained in order to provide a safety net for them. And so it's very important that we do that, because we're also preparing global learners in our class to go throughout the world and into the feeder schools in our community, well-versed on information that also goes through parents based on our board policy.
Thank you. Candidate Gonzalez?
Could you repeat the full question, please?
Yes. What is the role of schools in teaching children about topics such as sex education, cyber safety, mental health, wellness, and bullying?
Well, I believe that the role of the school definitely has a huge part in the development of a child when it comes to those things. I believe that in the aspect of the technology is something that everybody should be aware of, especially kids, because they can be vulnerable to those things. And in respect to the sex education, the biology and the experience of what you are going to go through is super important for a kid to understand, because at the end of the day, those things are not always straightforward or have a book or manual, right? And also, overall, I believe that partnership with every child's parents to make sure that they understand, hey, your kid's about to be in this age. They may be going through things. Hey, we are providing technology for your kids. They may be experiencing these things. Make sure and be aware of the things that are down the road that we are also exposing your kid to, right? And a partnership with the parents when it comes to all of that is immensely important. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Sanchez, your response, please.
Yeah, social issues are very much a part of our livelihood, you could say. And with children, you know, we have to follow what the ed code says. And in terms of like sex education and so on, so whatever has been written down, whatever has been passed by the state legislature, so on, and that's what we would teach in a school. I've been proud that we've raised the pride flag in June, you know, for many of our kids who might, you know, I mean, we don't ask them what they are, but or their parents, so on. But that's a source of a being for many Americans. So, and then we have to have the counseling in place, you know, for kids who may want to ask about different topics of that nature. So we have to make sure our social workers, our counselors, so on, are ready to go ahead and you know, deal with those issues with our children as they bring them forward. And so I think it's critical that we be at the forefront of those social issues.
Thank you, Candidate Sanchez. Candidate Hoang, your response, please.
I agree with a lot of what has already been said by the other candidates. I definitely, being in the education world, know that we have to follow ed code. I think schools play a vital role in, like candidate Balinton said, about developing global learners and providing sort of a comprehensive education. We have talked about how it's essential to teach students about like their biological changes, what they're experiencing, and sort of to normalize those things and say it's like a natural part of life. And It's important to foster self-awareness and resilience about what's going on emotionally, and the relationship they might have with the community. I also think it's really important to build strong partnerships with the community around these things. So talking to families, talking to healthcare providers, talking to the supports and local organizations to make sure that there's a consistent message to tell our students and to be able to support our students. It's also important to train educators. Being an educator myself, I was trained on how to have those conversations, but integrating everything, fostering community and partnerships, and making sure everybody is informed.
Thank you. And candidate Nguyen, your response.
Thank you very much for the question again. You know, I'm a firm believer that it takes a village to raise a kid. And I also believe that it's a shared responsibility of the whole village for a kid to perform well in school. All of the issues that you mentioned, I think the bottom line is to make sure that the parents understand all of the subjects and give their input on, do they want that to happen in school, or do they don't want that to happen in school? We need to have workshops and training, not only for the teachers to understand that subject clearly, how to teach the students, but also to recognize, for example, the signs of bullying, to help the victims. And also the parents have to attend the workshops to help the parents understand their kids. So I think it takes a village. It cannot be just
Thank
one
Thank you.
stakeholder. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. Thank you. You'll get a chance to continue that thought on the next question, I'm sure. But we're going to go to the next question. And so I'm going to read a little lengthy statement. So hold on. And it was kind of referenced in the previous answer, but Assembly Bill 1955, also known as the Safety Act, was signed into law in California on July 15, 2024 by Governor Gavin Newsom. This law prohibits school districts and charter schools from adopting policies that require staff to disclose a student's sexual orientation or gender identity to parents without the student's consent. What is your opinion on this bill? And we'll start with candidate Sanchez.
Well, my stance is that first of all, we have to take a look at our kids, our children, so on, and their safety. So I'm very supportive of 1955. And again, it does become law on January the 1st. So it's been signed by the legislature, but it will become law on that date. And so from that point on, I mean, we have to abide by the law, and that's what we do in our district. Well, whatever the law has been handed down to us, we will abide by that. We have to protect our children, especially our most vulnerable children. We want to make sure that we have those protections in place as they possibly deal with those issues. And again, we'll have the social workers in place, our counselors in place, so on, to address issues like that with children. But we ultimately have to take a look at what's in their best interest also, and I know there's a big parent component, but I think ultimately we have to take a look at the welfare and safety of our children.
Thank you. Candidate Nguyen, your response.
I agree with Mr. Sanchez, and I think that we have to obey the law. But at the same time, I feel like that bill, if you ask my honest answer to you, I think that bill was voted by parents, the one that can go to vote, not by the students. We forget our kids. They have a say. I always believe that everything that involves someone, that person also has a say, even though their judgment may be not mature, but we need to listen to them too. I don't know. I feel like sometimes kids cannot talk to the parents for a reason, because my kids would talk to me on any subject until today. But if they cannot go to me, that may be something wrong about me, that they feel like, oh, I'm not comfortable talking with you. I may get punished. I don't know.
Thank you.
So that's my thinking, but definitely I will obey the law.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Balinton.
Thank you for the question. When it comes to Assembly Bill 1955, we also have to read the Safety Act, which talks about providing resources for students of the LGBTQ plus community. Children, oftentimes, when they're playing on schoolyard, are joking around a lot and hurting each other's feelings at times, but they're truly an exploration. So when we talk about the Trevor Project, which is also connected to AB 1955, based on suicide rates of 13-year-olds, and I can remember being at that age, I was also one of those kids who thought about taking my own life. And thankfully I did it, because look who I am today. But things were said on the playground. So it provides teachers and educators with an ability. Now, when we talk about outing a student, can mean that you're sending them back into a harmful environment that could have the child stressed and then ultimately commit suicide. So when it comes to AB 1955 or the Safety Act, we're really talking about providing resources and enabling our children to learn that they have agency and voice. And when they are comfortable to share or say it on their own, that is how that relationship happens. And so that's how I'm understanding the rules, and I'm sticking by it.
Thank you so much for your response. Candidate Huang.
Thank you. I support Assembly Bill 1955 because I think it's essential to fostering an inclusive environment for all students, regardless of their sexual orientation and gender identity. I think it's important that schools are a safe place so we can have the conversations with our students about these things, so that we can encourage them to share with whoever they feel comfortable with sharing, including their families, about their identity. And that will create sort of a supportive environment at home. Open communication is really important between everyone to create a safe space for students to be able to express themselves. That's one of the things that when I talk to students, that they have a hard time doing. And I think schools should be a safe place. So that is including collaboration with social workers, counselors is really important. By working together, we can give them the resources that they need in order to navigate this very difficult time for them. Promoting acceptance and understanding within our school supports students' mental health and well-being, and also prepares them to engage with an increasingly diverse world. I think this is a positive step.
Thank you. And finally, Candidate Gonzalez, your response, please.
Wow. When it comes to AB 1955, there's a lot of contention. There's a lot of there's two parties, right? People who are against it, people who are for it. And as a school board member, I believe that we have to navigate these things in order to not only come to an agreement on how to deal with it. Yes, it is law, but it's still being litigated. So I believe that when January comes around, we're definitely going to start having to implement certain things. Now, I want to address a couple of things. Like when we were teenagers, we did things that we did not want our parents to know. So I don't think that just because your child doesn't come to you to talk to you doesn't mean there's something wrong about you. Also, on the other topic, we haven't heard anything about encouraging these people who are handling our kids to speak to their parents about it. We've heard about a lot of people that'll help them with the mental wellness, the teachers who can keep this, who can that, but nowhere in there says, hey, we should also encourage them to speak to their parents if they feel comfortable for that, right? Another thing is the contradictory nature of AB 1955 can and will put those childs back in danger when they're openly speaking of themselves in a different gender and somebody else other than a teacher actually outs them in front of their parents. So we have to also be mindful of these things that are happening with AB 1955. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. And we're going to continue on a question around student well-being. And so the next question is, what is your understanding of social emotional learning? How do you think it's being taught in schools? Many students experience trauma. So please state your suggestion when it comes to helping these students through their trauma. And so we're going to start with candidate Nguyen on this one.
Wow, that's a very deep issue. And I think we need professional people to train the teachers to understand the subject clearer so that they can help the students, you know, better in the classroom. And I also believe that we need to have workshops and trainings for the parents, because the main source of the kid should go to them if they have any issues. And then definitely we have to have professionals to assist the students that have trauma. And that would be, again, schools is educational environment. So first thing is to make sure that everybody is well educated about that subject, and that provide resources and programs to help them to navigate through that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Candidate Gonzalez, your response.
Well, first, I would like to acknowledge that most of us have had traumatic experiences, and that learning how to overcome those are an individual process that not only takes time, but sometimes takes the right kind of direction. And I believe that in our schools, the environment should definitely reflect the type of positive mentality that people need to have in order to overcome trauma. There should be at least a yearly or every now and then have a seminar on how to be able to deal with trauma, just like we have one for sex education. At some point, we have to talk to our kids about, hey, in life, you're going to meet with a lot of adversities, and the way that you deal with them are up to you, and you have to have a positive nature into that. And, you know, yes, professional that can come up with a plan and a conversation that we can allow parents to see and understand, hey, this is the reason why we're doing it. And also to train the educators, because a lot of times kids are traumatized there too. So thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Sanchez, your response, please.
Well, one important thing in this area is that awareness, and awareness means having your teachers knowledgeable in terms of things that of this type that may come up with their kids, and this is where you have staff development take place, and that has to be hopefully at the beginning of the year, as the school year gets going. You need to have your staff trained. And we do that in Franklin McKinley, as most districts do, because it's required by law. And along with that, we also have resources. We have our social workers throughout the district. And so, we train our teachers that if they see something that the student needs help with, then maybe it's best for them to go to see a social worker, so on. And so, but the teacher has to be aware of what those those habits are, or those what are those signs the student is exhibiting, and so at that point, then the teacher can go ahead and make sure that they engage the social worker or the counselor, so on, at that particular school. But that is critical in terms of making sure our kids are safe throughout school day, throughout the school year.
Thank you, Candidate Sanchez. Candidate Hoang.
I think your question was two-part. What is my understanding of SE or social emotional learning, and then how would I address it? Social emotional learning is an educational approach that helps students deal with their emotional intelligence, their awareness of what's going on, and their interpersonal skills. So managing their emotions, how to set positive goals, establish relationships with other people, and make responsible decisions about what's going on in their life. And this is something that many schools, being in the education system, they have dedicated programs and classroom activities and supportive environments. A lot of schools are starting to have things like wellness centers. Given that many students do experience trauma, it's really important to create safe spaces where they can express their feelings and seek support. I think one of the things that I am advocate for is that every single child should have someone at their school that they can trust and to come and talk to. And that means that teachers should be trained on trauma-informed practices and within the social emotional learning frameworks. So training teachers and staff to recognize signs of trauma, responding with empathy is really important. And if they can't handle the situation, to point them in the right direction to those resources they have at school to support them.
Thank you. Candidate Balinton.
So social emotional learning, which a part of my platform is wellness. We have several wellness centers on all of our school campuses, and in many have wellness corners. When we talk about specifically the Franklin McKinley School District, which is also accessible on our website, parents have access, community has access to this, is our second step social and emotional learning curriculum. It's accessible for community, parents, educators, and most importantly, our children. It creates a framework which kind of looks at the community, and then it looks at also within the area of our schools, our classrooms for parents and for children. Looking at social management, how to make decision-making, pausing, being silent during the day. There's so much in the framework because we know children have access to many things via cell phone devices and technology, just walking down the streets of school. And so we know when they get there, our educators are more than prepared. Our school district and our administrators have put this curriculum available to the public via our website. So I'm certainly for it, and certainly for making sure that wellness space is not only for our children, for our classified and our certificated staff is readily available.
Thank you. Thank you for your responses. Shifting the questions a little bit now, how will you engage the community to improve the schools within the district? Candidate Balinton.
Great question. So Franklin McKinley School District does a great job at this currently. One of the things that our school district does that no other school district does, and if they do, please definitely contact me. But we have at least once a month our school board meetings at the schools with the parents to answer questions directly. We also have breakout sessions into Vietnamese language, Spanish language, and Spanish, as well as in English. And we provide that space for us to not only see our principals display all of the great things in the accessibility for parents, but also to take on the challenges and to talk to our administrators about matters. The other thing is that we send out information via the parent apps, via educators providing time after school. And of course, when we think about education, it at times can be stressful, very rewarding to see young people getting educated and empowered, but it's accessible. And Franklin McKinley School District does this in regards to all of our schools at our district office. And we recently just held our first district office back to school night, where students were able for the very first time to come and get additional resources in order to feel empowered and a part of the district.
Thank you. Candidate Hoang.
I am very impressed by Franklin McKinley and like all of the great things and how to reach out to the community. I think engaging the community is essential to making sure that we provide a supportive educational environment. And I prioritize open communication. That's one of the things I'm running on. And a lot of this has already been done, but hosting regular community forums, listening sessions where parents, communities, and students can share their insights, their concerns, and like what's actually happening. I also think it's important to collaborate with local organizations and businesses to create partnerships that bring additional resources and opportunities for our students, such as mentorships and internships. I also think it's important to involve families in the decision-making process. I'm on school site council. There's a district school site council that I'm involved in at the high school level. And I think it's important to establish these advisory committees. They represent diverse voices in the community to ensure that our policies and initiatives align with the values for those that we serve. So again, fostering a strong sense of community ownership over our students and our community is important. And this is only able to achieve by strengthening relationships between families, educators, to improve the outcome of our students.
Thank you. Candidate Sanchez.
Well, in this whole area, there has to be a strong outreach to the community, to our parents, to get them involved in terms of their child's education and just in the school overall, the school environment in terms of what's taking place. And so, you know, there's a school I want to mention. It's called Hellier School, one of our schools, one of our 16 schools, and they have a parent group that meets periodically. There's a course that goes along with it. It's not, you know, and so that's something I definitely would like to see at the other schools aside from Hellier. But they do a tremendous job. The principal, Mr. Jacinto, does a tremendous job in terms of making sure that the parents are told about the meetings, you know. In the meetings, there's a series of discussions that take place. There's I believe 11 workshops altogether, and one of them deals with how to be close friends with the principal. So you engage the principal in terms of the child's education. This will be for all the parents, not just a few parents. But I think we need to do that throughout the district, and that way we can bring about a more solid parent involvement through all of our schools.
Thank you, candidate Sanchez. Candidate Gonzalez.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes, I will. No
Thank you.
problem. How will you engage the community to improve the schools within the district?
So first, I believe that we do have means and ways to communicate with our community and our parents. But I believe that community starts from the school on out. And the only way to do that is to have a really solid engagement in our communication. We have things like Parent Square, we have things like email, but I don't believe they're being utilized to the best of their ability. We do have a lot of programs, and sometimes those programs go to waste. Because people are not getting the word out. I believe if we have teachers be able to utilize Parent Square to reach out to the parents on a either daily or weekly basis on the things that they're working on, and we allot some time for the teachers to be able to do that, then parents will be more engaged into the Parent Square. And from there, they'll be able to spread out a lot of the word of what's going on in our community and understand what's going on with their kids at class as well. Just the resources that we spend on a lot of these programs are sometimes not utilized to the best of their capacity because of that. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, candidate Nguyen.
Thank you very much. You see, I am a community organizer, so attracting people to attend our workshops, our events, our activities, I love to do that. And one of the main thing is that you need to have a draw, be it a elected official, a movie star, a teacher, whoever. We have to feature them in a way that the parents cannot resist not to come and listen and be educated about certain subject, and let them encourage the parents to get involved. And maybe we do it at the district, and next time we do it at school, next time we have I don't know, a business owner host it, maybe a council member host it, maybe the mayor host them you have to create fun,
Thank you.
informative, exciting for the people to come and attend, and so we can deliver our messages.
Thank you.
The key. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next question, and we just have a few more left here, so thank you for hanging with us. Just a few more.
Marathon.
How should school board members evaluate school and student performance within the district? And we're going to start with candidate Hanh.
School board members should evaluate school and student performance using, I think, data-driven approach, a comprehensive data-driven approach. So this is analyzing academics measures such as test scores, attendance, for overall student achievement. It's also equally important to consider qualitative factors as well, such as student and parent feedback to gain insight on the school environment and community satisfaction. Regular assessments should include things about like evaluating the effectiveness of educational programs and resources. And board members can engage with educators and administrators to understand the challenges that they face and how they impact student learning. Incorporating measures of social emotional development is also critical. These skills are really important for long-term success of our students. I think it's important to balance both the quantitative and qualitative insights. And as school board members, we need both of those things to make an informed decision because you want to strengthen our student schools and ultimately lead to improvements and better outcomes.
Thank you. Candidate Gonzalez, your response, please.
So I believe test scores don't lie, right? The way that our kids are performing have a lot to do with, I believe, is we have to lead by example, number one. The board has to be the leading example of what it means to have academic proficiency and put that into the perspective of every home. How families react to the way their child is learning and the way that they're coming home and the things that they want to talk about have a big deal to do with the environment inside the school. If our homes and our schools and our board aren't on the same page, then we can't really gauge the overall aspect of our education system. I understand that scores are big tell on how that is going as of now. So that would be my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Nguyen, your response?
You know, like everything else that any professions, the performance, the production, you cannot say this is a quality product and it doesn't function well, right? So the measurement is very important to me. The failure of the students say a lot about all of us, not just one stakeholder, not just the teacher, not just the faculty staff, not just the board, the principal, the superintendent, all of us. So we need to reassess and see how we conduct programs to the students that we have the test score like this. This is one of the reasons why I'm running for school board, because I feel like there is a missing puzzle. And what is it? And I want to be the contributor to find that puzzle and make the difference for our district. And I work in collaboration with all of you, including you, Tracy.
Thank you. Candidate Sanchez.
I think in terms of the testing and the environment around that and all that, we have to take a look at the different forms. First of all, the state, there's state testing that takes place. And so that gives us an idea in terms of how we're doing as a district. And that's so the school board gives periodic updates regarding the testing that's going on. In fact, we have one that's coming up regarding our test scores. And also, of course, the teachers themselves have to, assess their kids in terms of the learning that's taking place in their particular classroom, and that's critical. That's very, very important because that gives the teacher an idea in terms of what's going on with the class. And if the kids are not learning at a particular rate, then what does the teacher have to do at that point? To kind of reassess their teaching methods and so on. So that's critical. And we also have one more thing. No, okay. All right.
Thank you, Candidate Sanchez. It's Candidate Balinton.
Can you repeat the question for me one more time?
Yes, sir. How should board members evaluate school and student performance within the district?
Okay, thank you for the question. A few quick bullet points based on my notes that I've written down here. Many of our opponents are running to be on the school board for very great reasons, but some of the reality that I mentioned earlier is based on the school district had about 2 years out of just many different schools. So there was a lot of data and educational loss within the school district's time frame of students returning back to in-person schooling. And so educators right now are working triple time to ensure the students get caught up based on testing standards. I mean, when we look at various things like school accountability reports, are based on school plans for academic achievement, are based on the various data that is used in order to know the framework that is needed. We know that when it comes back to social emotional learning and the various tools and responsibilities that educators have when it comes to educating our children on things that board members are looking at and reviewing data reports. But it goes back to how did we get here? The pandemic put our school districts back about 2 years. And so I just joined in 2022, reviewing the reports, going to visit schools, listening to our teachers, listening to our students, listening to our classified and certificated staff to find out what is going on to best support our school district. These are the things that we are dealing with right now. And so the reality in what your question is based on the current data that we have, based on the impacts of COVID-19.
Thank you, Candidate Balinton. And this next question is going to be the last question for this evening. I made that decision right now. This is going to be the last one. With the decrease in enrollment, which means less money for the district, how do you plan on supporting the diverse needs of the Franklin McKinley School District community? And we're going to start with Candidate Gonzalez.
Well, we have to look deep inside ourselves and ask why. I know 3 people in my job right now that homeschool. I know at least 5 people that moved our kids from our district to a different district and they still live here, right? Harrington and I, we really do believe that um, we need to have accountability and then we need to correct the ship, right? We can't just keep saying everything's okay, everything will be okay. We are failing as a community. So we're failing our community. We are failing our schools and our kids in the way that we've handled everything. I mean, 10 years doesn't just start at COVID, so respectfully. And so at the end of the day, we really do need to have hard conversations with our own community and with the people that are part of the schools, not just the kids, not just the teachers, but also the parents, again, because we need to understand what can we do to improve not only our image, but the well-being of everybody that's involved and our stakeholders, right? Everybody that's involved in this process of educating our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Nguyen, your response, please. Candidate HD, your response.
I didn't. You know, can you repeat the question again, please?
Yes. With the decreasing enrollment, which means less money for the district, how do you plan on supporting the diverse needs of the Franklin McKinley School District community?
I see. Thank you so much for the question.
Mhm.
You know, I heard somewhere and I read somewhere that a great teacher is a teacher who can inspire the students, not teaching the student, inspire. And so I want to see how we can improve our school programs to help the students to get excited about coming back to Franklin McKinley School District. We have to reassess everything. I feel like if we want to have a quick fix, it is not going to happen. And I don't want to say, oh, because of the COVID, that we have a failure score. It happens to the whole nation, actually to the whole world. How come our school district is among the worst 300 school districts in our state? So for me, let's just face the reality, fix it, and help the students to feel proud about our school district because they are smart. They
Thank you.
are good students. Every single
Thank
student, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. Let's go on to candidate Hong, your response.
Thank you. To support the diverse needs of our community, in light of the declining enrollment and funding, I think we need to prioritize resource allocation and foster collaboration. First, I would make sure and advocate for targeted student programs that address the specific needs of our student population. So we've heard that we had an influx of newcomers and English learners, and we've also talked about mental health resources for our students. I also think it's important to build partnerships with local organizations and businesses to provide additional resources and support. For example, we can seek grants and sponsorships to enhance our programs and provide extracurricular activities to engage our students and our families. I also think it's important to involve the community in the decision-making process. By listening to parents, students, educators, local stakeholders, we can prioritize and make informed decisions that reflect the community's needs. At the end of the day, it's important to be innovative and resourceful with the declining funding. And if we can continue to support the diverse needs and ensure that every student receives a high quality education despite the challenging financial circumstances.
Thank you. Candidate Balinton.
So just so we're clear here that the enrollment that I'm speaking about based on the pandemic is not the sole only reason why test scores are down, but it is quite accessible for both of our opponents who do not pay attention to what the data is that Franklin McKinley has already provided. There are a couple of things that we need to focus on. Proposition 2, which is going to provide funding for our school district in order to take care of old and rundown school structures. Measure W, which is going to provide additional funding for math, science, and additional resources. While we know that parents are moving out of the district also based on cost of living. So we're addressing other matters outside of the school district, which would include other things of inviting parents to be engaged in our school consolidation advisory committee. addressing also how can we have livable wages that are even more as we talk about increasing pay here in Silicon Valley, and also inviting parents out to our Franklin McKinley School District Town Hall so that we can hear from all perspectives and all voices, which is work that the school district is currently doing. And might I add, there are 3 new board members, myself, Mark Cooper, and Steven Sanchez. We all 3 just got on the board, so we're dealing with matters that folks are running against us for that we're currently working on fixing. Just want to put that out there.
Thank you, candidate Sanchez.
Yeah, this is, of course, a very serious matter to us because nobody wants to close schools. But if you take a look at the news lately, just turn it on, and you'll see that schools are closing throughout California because of the declining enrollment. And that's something that's definitely affecting us. We have a lot of people moving out of the area that just can't afford. I have 3 nephews who have moved to Hollister in the past couple of years. Another one who moved to Los Baños again in the next in a couple of years ago. But anyway, but those are that's why we have the school consolidation committee so they can articulate what's going on and express their feelings so on. And we may have to close schools, but we want the input of the community because that's critical. We just don't want to go and close schools without having the input that we need, and that's critical. And I think that's something I never wanted to do, never. That I never thought I would have to be at this point, but here we are, and we're again doing what Oak Grove, Elm Rock, Evergreen have done, and so.
Thank you. Thank you, candidate Sanchez. Now, the candidates will make closing statements. We will reverse the order that we began with when we did opening statements, and each candidate will have 90 seconds. So we're going to give you a little bit more time on this one. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to provide closing statement. Again, we're going in reverse order. So we're going to begin with candidate Balinton.
Awesome. Well, listen, if you haven't voted already and you plan on voting, please vote for Milan Balinton and George Sanchez. George has been on the board for 30 years. I lean on a lot of learning from those who have served our districts well. And I've been on the board for about almost 2 years now. And since learning what I have, I continue to advocate for kids first, participating in governance, and also making sure that we have wellness spaces on our school campuses. In addition to that, we must be very clear that we are dealing with a lot of societal things that educational facilities and organizations in the community are truly battling. And so it's going to take your vote to get us back onto the board or maintain us on the board. And so when it does come to making sure that we work collaboratively within not only our after-school partners, our classified and certificated staff, we are best fit right now for what we already know and what we've been working on with the school district and the school administration. And so we ask you to share with others about our campaign, as well as what we're doing. Great in FMSD. It is an amazing school district that I have the humble opportunity to serve currently as a trustee. And so again, VoteMilanBalinton.com to get more information. I can be reached via the website. And we're doing what we need to do for our children. If you want to trust 2 individuals, Balinton and Milan Balinton and George Sanchez in the upcoming election. Thank you for your time, and thank you to all of you for being here tonight.
Thank you, candidate Balinton. Candidate Hoang, your closing remarks, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everyone for showing up tonight and giving me a space to speak. As we look towards the future, I think it's clear that our schools are the heart of a thriving community. I'm running for Franklin McKinley School District Governing Board because I believe in the potential of our students, in the power of education, and its ability to create a more equitable and prosperous community. My vision is rooted in 3 core principles: providing a holistic education that prepares students for life beyond the classroom, supporting sustainable communities where families can afford to live and thrive, and improving communication and safety in and around our schools. With over a decade of teaching experience and experience in education, I understand the importance of collaboration between educators, families, and the district. I'm committed to making sure students have the access to arts, life skills, and career pathways, while advocating for affordable housing so that teachers, educators, and families can stay in the community that they love. Our district deserves a board member who will listen, act, and prioritize on the well-being of every student. This is the community I want to raise my children in one day, and I'm ready to bring my experience and passion to this role to ensure that we make thoughtful decisions that benefit everyone in our community. I think together we can make and create schools that our students deserve and the future that our community needs. I believe that it takes a village to raise our children. Thank you for your time, and I hope I earn your support.
Thank you so much. Candidate Sanchez, your closing remarks.
Well, first of all, I just want to once more thank the League of Women Voters and the District 7 leadership group for sponsoring this forum tonight. And I want to thank everyone who's running. There's 6 of us who are running. There's been times when nobody has run against you. And you makes it easy for you because then you win automatically if there's no opposition. But this time there's 6, and so it is quite a race. I want to point out that the teachers union and the classified unions are both supporting Milan Balinton and myself because they're taking a look at our experience that we've had and what we bring to the board. And I think especially as we face critical issues before us, the closing of schools, possibly that is something that we started working on. And I think you need experience to go ahead and continue that the whole process and make sure that the whole community is involved, and that's critical. And I've enjoyed being a board member all these years, and I think with my experience I can help navigate those troubling waters that we have before us. And education it's like the ebb and flow of things. There's always things you can do to improve, and that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that I'm there to improve our educational system and make sure that our kids are ready for high school. And so that's what I bring to the table, my experience, my, background in education. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Candidate Sanchez. Candidate Gonzalez, your closing remarks.
Well, I began this forum by saying it's time for a change. As a parent, I've tried to be involved. I've tried to have conversations and interactions, and I've been met with a lot of negative interactions, not just by the board, but also by the teachers union. And I've seen what it's like when you're not a part of the club. And so I don't believe that just by saying it takes a village, it's going to fix the problem that we're facing. It takes a village with the same goal. And I don't believe that the village is having that goal in mind for everybody. I've heard a lot about affordable housing and providing, that sounds great and nice, but at the end of the day, we're raising our property taxes just to be able to stay afloat. We're closing schools, and the millions are being cut for the budget. Teachers may lose their jobs. And at the same time, we have to realize that technology is great, but we need to have more hands-on. After school is great, but we need to take care of our business inside the school, within the school hours. And on top of that, I just want to say that Prop 2W, we're wishing on a prayer that money falls, and hopefully we can fix the problems that haven't been able to be fixed with money. No, my name is Josue Gonzalez, and I am here to run for Franklin McKinley School District and give parents a voice. If you want to see more, just reach out for Gonzalez for FMSD.com, and you can see more about me. But I thank you, everybody here, for being a part of this process and being involved and invested. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Nguyen, your closing remarks.
Well, again, thank you for having me tonight and for your thoughtful questions on the future of our district. My top priority is making sure our students' performance grants them the opportunities they deserve. Doing so means investing in their safety and support, as well as the stability of our teachers and parents through services like childcare and affordable housing programs. I am committed to making sure that our whole community, the whole village, has a seat at the table. No matter your race, your gender, your politics, where your politics may lie, I will always make myself available to hear your concerns. I am a firm believer that if you don't invest in your kids, if we don't invest in our kids, we don't invest in our future. It is my sincere desire that the children of the Franklin McKinley School District are given everything they need to become the next generation of leaders we all know they can be. On that note, my name is Nguyen, and I humbly ask for your support and votes. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Candidates, thank you for hanging in for this candidates forum. Again, I'm Tracy Williams, member of San Jose Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, and it's been a pleasure to serve as your moderator this evening. I will now turn it back over to our host as she closes us out for this evening. Thank you again.
Thank you, Tracy. On behalf of the League of Women Voters, San Jose, Santa Clara, and the San Jose District 7 Leadership Council, I want to thank the candidates for running for this office and for their participation this evening. I also want to thank the audience for being present to meet with the candidates and for proposing thoughtful questions. Members of the League of Women Voters do the hands-on work to safeguard democracy. While we never endorse a candidate, we are directly involved in shaping important issues to keep our community strong. If you would like to be involved with the men and women helping make democracy work, it's easy to join the League. We encourage you to visit our website at lwvsjsc.org. Please remember to visit vote411.org for helpful information on the candidates and the propositions. When you enter your address, your ballot information will become available. Remember to vote by mail or at the polls by November 5th. Encourage your family, friends, and neighbors to vote. Thank you and good night.